Hey, pulling up. Salute, 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 salute. What's going on, Measly, man? About to get ready to get this broadcast started in a few, man. Just waiting on some people to pull up on the kid. Pull up on the kid. Pull up on the kid. Hey, man. It's crazy right now. We got a lot of stuff going on, man. I'm trying to figure some things out in this camp, man. Like, what we dealing with, man? What we dealing with? What's going on? What's going on, man? You know, it's funny, man. I've been on a lot of panels, man. Been moving around, and what's the deal? What's the deal, man? Like, what we dealing with? I'm about to get it crank up. About to crank it up in a minute, man. I'm about to, jump off this clock. You know, um, gonna start, talking a little ish, and have these people ready, man. I mean, it's funny. Like, what's the whole what's the whole thing we doing, man? Like, I don't know what we doing. What we doing with it? What are we really doing with it? And getting on me about this whole app thing, So I'm gonna go ahead and drop a little whoa, pause, pause, and put a little pink up there, man. I gotta pause for that. What's up, Gold P in the building, man? Yeah, the brother Measly me just jumped on in there. But what's up, Gold P? Man, it's crazy, bro. Okay, here we go. Like, what's going on, man? What we doing in this space? Like I said, man. I'm here for the knowledge. I'm here to put these young guys on, give them some game. You know, and using the word game loosely, man. But just instructions. The key to life, man. I'm gonna go ahead and drop this, but I'm also gonna come back while I hit it over the women with the head, like about what we doing. Brother Bakar, what's going on, man? How's it going? I haven't swung over there in a minute, man. Sorry for my tardiness to the channel, man. My contributing has been low. I gotta hit your cash out when I'm done with this as well, man. I like to donate, man. I like what you're doing over there. I stop in from time to time with you and Courtney, Omega Courtney, man. I move around in this space a lot because I want to show love to all the brothers and sisters. I try to go and grab a couple of female channels as well, man. That have some good content, that's talking about something, and not just going on with these issues of the women and men bashing each other, because at the end of the day, if we don't got each other, we don't got nobody, we're trying to refrain from the cursing, because Gold P, I like your channel, man. And you're always talking about cleaning up the space. And rule number one in the 9 laws of self-govern, discipline, and I want to apply a little discipline, with the profanity on my channel. I know I'm a slip up every now and then, but the whole point is, refraining from it and, trying to keep some type of order within it, you know, to where I won't let things get out of hand. Even with the guys coming on the panels, I've told you, Go Professor, when I'm on your channel, I like the way how, you have the guys have complete thought to where they can, gather their information, which they want to say, and let it be to the point where no one's talking over each other, no one's arguing, no one's, jumping over the next man to try to get their point across. And the biggest thing that I like about your channel, I'm always gonna pump it, Gold Professor, man. You push the narrative of the black man to, have an understanding of self awareness, and I always tell guys I'm not of the 5%ers, but the thing of it is I have knowledge of self, and my knowledge of self carries me over into the conversation to where, as long as I'm moving in the right direction, have a purpose in my life, I can contribute to others and I can also, learn as well. And the whole thing that I gather from a lot of the guys that, are God body to the point of, keeping that understanding of yourself and, who you are and what you're doing, what you're dealing with, and the whole purpose of the black man, the black sister, have an understanding of them, each other. And I always go back to the training in which, a lot of our brothers and sisters are lacked in, you know. And I talk to my friends a lot, and if a lot of people don't know, I deal with Alonzo Hall with this life insurance. Everybody needs to go check this brother YouTube channel out, Alonzo Hall. Check his channel out, man. Regards to Alonzo, man, this guy, he drops a lot of knowledge as far as the life insurance is not a death insurance, and I had to come to grips with that, you know, at at the wrong time of one of my family members passing, that I kind of, got an understanding of what this life insurance, what it was for, and what is being, the money's being rendered to, help the family in the situation, and this generational thing. That's why I have, my policies at hand to, put my kids in a better, situation. Generational wealth is key, of me owning a house as well, getting to the status of owning versus, paying a mortgage or even renting, back in the day. That was my whole reason of purchasing. And, I set my bar high. I told my wife we're going to buy 4 houses because we have 4 kids. The first house is for the oldest, the second house is for the second, the third is for the middle, and the last one is for the youngest. And seeing that I had twins, so it was all the way boiled down to the one who was born first and the one, was born last. And my youngest son, he was funny about it, that he said that, shout out to Gold P, that he knows that me and his mother is going to get a real nice house at our older age. And that's why he pretty much said that, even though he knows that I have a life insurance policy with him because he's 10 years old, I talked to him about this. I told him that I'm going to actually get one in his name for him to personally have one as well, besides the, just kid policy for him to have a whole life for himself. That when he gets older, gets a job, I'm gonna make him pay this life insurance. I've talked to my 2 older kids, you know, and for my 2 older kids, I told them as well that they will be having policies if they want to. I'll set it up for them. I pay up to so much, and I'll let them take over. If you're in a state right now to where you can't take on that large amount that I want to get for you, then I'll go ahead and start it off. And as time permits, you'll go ahead and, take it over. And if you have an issue with it, give me a holler, let me know something, and then we can work it out. And, because I'm big on the whole thing of generational wealth, man. I want to pass, this wealth on to my kids. And, like I tell people, I promote family because in this space, we have an issue with the men and the women not being on the same page. When it comes down to it, we understand that there's a lot of women out here that do their thing, kind of move a little different, and we understand that, but not necessarily saying that you have to deal with that particular type of woman. If that woman is showing herself in a way is unfitting of you, no one tells you to take all your sources, your values, and everything, and then invest in that woman and her behavior. No, what we're telling you is If you're gonna deal with a woman, find a woman that's on the same page as you. To the point, like I tell guys, guys go this whole numbers game of, the looks status of a woman, compared to her value, which is self-work, showing her work, you know, finding a woman that doesn't say I'm a good woman, but you see it in the way she moves, the way she dress, the way she cooks, the way her house is clean, or even if she stays with her parents, having a clean room. The funniest part, when I met my wife had an immaculate apartment. The only thing that always was junky in her room, I mean, throughout the whole house initially, was a chair. She had physically a chair in her room where she would pile her clothes on, either something that, like her shoes that she didn't clean, she would put them near that chair and put the clothes on the chair. And that was it. Other than that, this lady will work so much to keep her house clean because she was raised by her grandmother to make her bed up every day. You know, she instilled that in her kids, growing up, make up your bed every day, do this and do that, you know. And as time permitted, the kids grew up with a lot of values, and I stepped in, implemented some rules and regulation and, a lot of discipline as well, to the point, they respect me, and for all the people that don't know, I have two stepkids that are my oldest. And I always call them my kids because I never officially helped my wife make them, but I raised them. I took care of them. I fed them for years, you know, more time than they've been born. I met them when they were in elementary school. And to see them progress and go through high school and middle school and off into college is a beautiful thing, man. The grandmother, I'm sorry, the great grandmother, they would be over the summer. I would have my older kids do work from school box. I will buy them these books from school box, and I tell them at least give me one page a day. And the grandmother was so adamant. The great grandmother was so adamant of kids need to have fun and give them some time to relax. And now she sees the value because of how smart these, two young men and women are, to the point where, they move, as a collective as, generally smart kids, both of them, are, in my eyes are successful to, they're not staying in my house. They're not calling me and asking me for money. So that's a good thing. Even now, every now and then my son was, but to the point was, you know, it was things that he wanted to kind of do, but it was never a issue of paying the money back. And he did that hastily all the time. It's just something that he's seen. And it to my understanding as well, I had situations to where I would want to do things, and ultimately, if I see a way that I need some money because of a deal, that was the only reason I will put myself in a situation of borrowing money or dealing with somebody in a certain way, because I knew that this opportunity wasn't gonna last, and I needed to go ahead and issue this situation to the point where I can get it handled. And he picked up on a lot of good things, far as me showing him certain things, and me and him actually had a little situation before, and that respect was there, but the whole thing was, being a man and growing up in a household, even though he knew the rules and the boundaries, but at times people want to flex their muscles, show their chest, kind of, you know be bigger than who they really are. And it was to the extent where I had to go ahead and deflate that balloon and let him know there was no playing around here. And he got the message real quick. I don't play when it comes to my kids. I let them know up front. And here's the situation. Take it or leave it. Ultimately, we had the issue handled real simple and easy, without kind of bodily harm or injuries being, implemented. But the whole thing is, I have a good relationship with all my kids. You know, the situation that I get in this space, a lot of guys having issues with these women. The way they move, the way they act, as Gold Professor would say, the behavior and everything. And mainly that's what we speak on is the behavior of a lot of women. And to my degree, I also count the men as well. And my thing is this: I hear a lot of guys rating women talking about, they want the beautiful woman. And a lot of guys don't understand if you don't have that money to maintain, and I said this on Platinum's channel, that a Bugatti costs about I think 20 to $50,000 a year just for like the oil change, the regular maintenance to where, you're checking certain things to make sure the car is in good standing. Mercedes oil change typically run about 240 a year, one time oil change, and that's just like I said, the oil change and a little maintenance check and upkeep of the car. Then you have, the Toyotas, Chevys, and things of that nature. Oil change can run you anywhere from $30 to $80, typically on what type of oil you putting in, and so forth. That's the same status when dealing with most women. Guys want that real nice fancy car, but are they prepared for the maintenance? Are they prepared for any tire blowout? You know, I think the tire on a Bugatti is $20,000. Who's prepared to pay that type of money if your tire goes out? You know, we want so many nice, flashy things, but at the extent of, you know, do you have the money to, help you out with these situations? And that's what more or less I look at with a lot of guys. I be trying to talk to them and deal with them. When it come down to it, jump in this truck real quick. We have a situation to where a lot of people, you know, come into this whole category of, all right, now that stop. We have this situation to where a lot of guys, you know, want these type of women, but for one, do you even have the money? And it's the whole notion that everybody wants to go through of tricking and spending money. I don't have to spend money on a woman. When guys say that, that typically lets me know what type of woman they deal with, because ultimately, what woman or even a man in general doesn't want nice things? What person, I mean, in general, what woman wants to, go out and, she foot her bill, you foot the bill, some form of whining and dining, some form of, luxury to the degree it looks good for them, it looks good for you, have a, a date night to where, you go to a nice restaurant, you paying and things of that nature. And for guys that always say, I don't got to pay nothing, man. That woman take care of me because this is the type of brother I am, and this is the type of guy I deal with. Salute, perfect timing, podcast. What's going on, man? What's going on? And that just lets me know, man, what type of brother am I dealing with? His whole outlook on the woman, in which he shouldn't have to, put no money out there. As a man, to me, that's your job to actually, have a woman that you invested in. Not generally saying, man, you walk letting this woman walk over you. hand and foot, man. You dealing with this woman a certain way though. You having issues, whether just mostly small issues that you guys can ultimately avoid these pitfalls in which a lot of guys I hear in this space talk about. You know, I hear so many guys complain about the issues of their baby moms, and I'm looking at the fact of the matter is, if we have an issue with the whole baby mom thing, I'm telling guys, like, what is the whole issue with these women? You've actually took the time to invest in, having a child with this woman, whether it be it was a slip up or not. You know, you took that time to deal with that woman. So as a result, when the child comes, it shouldn't be a burden, because that's the whole thing. When having sex, ultimately, there's a possibility of a child coming. Same thing with, driving a car. There's a possibility that you could wreck it. Same thing with, doing sports. There's a possibility you could get injured. There's possibilities in all those moments. And, as it results, you just have to lock it down and be a man, and I've been getting a lot of guys moving different. I always, have a issue. If you know me, I talk about this. I have an issue, I'm just going to say guys being young men versus, being men. Because as a young man or just downright as a boy, it's certain things you don't learn. So you have to get yourself in position to learn these things in order for, success to come over your life. Same thing with, dealing with the issue with these guys complaining about the women, taking them, the child support, knocking them over the head. Now I can understand you've been invested with this woman for some years, and you guys established some type of relationship to the point where out of the blue she just woke up one day and just became the worst person in your life. And at that time you had the opportunity to say, I'm not going to deal with this. But if you say, well, this is her first time doing this, or maybe her second time doing this, and I'm gonna just continue dealing with her, we'll just work on that. By all means, guys, I'm sorry. You put yourself in that situation. And a lot of guys don't want to hold themselves accountable for that. And when they have those kids with those bad baby mamas that they're talking about, and they're taking them to child support and knocking them upside the head, you seen all that stuff ahead of time, but you still were dealing with the woman because of the sexual preference. I call it the in-house. A lot of guys use that same term. You gotta hold accountability, man, to yourself, to where a situation pops off, man. You had something to do with it. It's not all her. And in most cases, a woman would always tell you that this guy wasn't a good father. He's not doing this for my child. But when you start locking down on her and asking her certain questions, be like, man, what was this guy doing before you got pregnant? What type of job he had? Oh, he wasn't working. He was in and out of work. It was hard for him because he got out of jail. And then you ask that woman, well, what about this guy? How was he? Well, me and him would always argue, and it got to the point where I couldn't take it no more, and I just had to leave. But you didn't leave before you got pregnant, and that's when you start to see the holes in the story like cheese. Same thing when it comes to the men, hold the men to the fire. Man, my baby mama, man, she bad. She the worst. But then when you go back and say, hey man, was she always like this? Nah, man, she was good. Oh, okay. So, y'all had the perfect relationship. Y'all went out, y'all never argued. Well, no, we argued from time to time again, but it was over stupid stuff. Oh, okay. What stupid stuff? Well, man, I remember one time, man, you know, I forgot her birthday and she went off, but I was sitting there working. more hours because you know the car note was due, and the rent was up, and she had lost her job, and she was complaining about me about the birthday. But man, you know how it is when you wasn't working, and she just didn't understand. And that's why I go back to women that are understanding. If you have a woman that's complaining about you working too hard and forgetting her birthday, and seeing the situation in which she's not working and she's gifted to stay at home, that poses, where's her direction? And that's rule number one. You let that slide. You let her, go through the cracks with that. I tell a lot of guys, man, deal with these issues at hand, man, because it's crazy, man. I'm gonna go ahead and drop the link because if you guys want to come up, if not, man, I'm just gonna go ahead and rock it out. But I don't get that with a lot of guys, man. We have issues with the women, but we gotta hold ourselves accountable. We seen this stuff coming a mile away. We just chose to, stay in that environment because of, the woman, she was either, great in bed, she was so wonderful, like gorgeous to the point where, you maybe will never even find a woman like that ever again. And I've heard a lot of guys deal with women like this, and it's to the point where even their friends be like, "Man, how did you get her? You won't never get a girl like that again." And it makes me question, why did you even establish a relationship with this woman in the first place besides her looks? Because ultimately, if you take the looks from a lot of these females and their attitude, you know, getting mad, getting spoiled because they can't go certain places, the attitude in which, you know, they want to be spoiled. They want to get trips where they fly out to, like Vegas. Miami's the big thing for the women. You know, the limelight. Okay, they don't get what they want. They have fits about it. That's the type of woman you're dealing with. You're putting yourself in that whole category of, you know, a spoiled brat. I always say that. When it come down to it, man, dudes, you got to know how to deal with these women accordingly. Pick a good woman. It's not hard. See the characteristics that you want in her, and if she changes up, then it's adjustments need to be made. Because ultimately, like I told guys, I was 25 when I got married. I did a lot of things at a real young age, man. I'm not even gonna lie to you, man. I went to the strip club at what? I think it was 16. You know, uh, drinking at young age. I hung around a lot of my uncles. They drunk. So in return, I seen them do it. I did it. I seen guys, move around in the streets. As a result, I did it. When I started, getting bugs in my ear about, moving a little different, being a little different, being the man of the house, I started moving different. I started understanding the glitz and the glamour. My friend, I got a friend right now, I can call him, dude, to tell you. Like, guy was like, when it came down to dressing, like, I was the, I would match everything. I was the type that, like the mannequin out there that be in front of the stores with, the shoes, the shirt, all that. That's how I dress. I was into fashion. I actually was gonna go to school for design. So my thing was dressing accordingly. Having a proper fit on. Hat to match, jewelry, all that. I was big on that. I heard my okay. Yeah, but I was big on that. My mic had went out for a minute, but yeah, I was big on that, man. But the whole thing was I knew I wanted to look a certain way. I wanted to have everything set up to the point when I deal with with a woman, there was nothing that she could say about me that man, I ain't have myself together. I was looking a certain way, doing good for myself, man. I was pushing it. What's going on, man?
What's up, brother? How you doing, man? How you doing, man?
What's going on, man? And I'm just lacing a little for the for the younger generation. Even older guys can learn this, man. A lot of guys didn't have dads growing up. A lot of guys don't know this information. Dressing is key, man. A lot of women pay attention to that. Back in the day, they would tell, if you look at a man's shoes, you could tell. The man was either working man, the man had dress shoes on, depending on the shoes with a style. And then you went up and you start looking at the clothes that he wore, to the jewelry, the way he was properly groomed, nails cut with no dirt up under the nails. Either you had a beard or a mustache trim, nice haircut. A woman could, easily look at you and see what type of person you is by how you carry yourself, the way you look. And then from that point, that's when she's trying to figure out, the whole matrix of you. But what's going on, man?
Oh man, I agree on the shoe thing and him being properly dressed and groomed. I came up to disagree with you though, so I thought maybe we could get a little debate, a little back and forth, man, to get
Eh,
it a little going, make it a little spicy, man. But yeah, but what triggered me is when you said, "Find a good woman, it ain't hard." So,
nah, to,
and your
to,
perspective on child support. So I wanted to come and get at you about that topic. Those right there, bro.
hey, let's get into it.
So when you say find a good woman is not hard, I took that kind of personal. Like I said, I was triggered because I feel like you going right at the whole what I feel was the birth of the manosphere and why black men even migrated to these MGTOW red pill topics or these lifestyles. You know what I mean? So if it was so easy to find a good woman, you wouldn't have incels and we wouldn't have 10-person panels uh, even at 2 a.m. You know, Kuda is live at 2, 3 a.m. And I apologize. I don't mean to promote
No,
anyone
no,
else.
hey, no problem. With my channel, man, I'm like Roger. Promote your channel, talk about guys in the space. As long as you're not bashing the guy that's not here to defend himself, by all means, man, say the names, run it down. I talk about
Awesome.
Gold Professor all the time. That brother
Awesome.
has a good channel. Yeah, Evil DS1, Sheep Stay Sleep, all these guys. Kuda, Roger, the Roger Report, all of them, man. Go ahead.
Yeah, so yeah, Kuda's a great guy, man. Everybody, like even yourself, has been very welcoming, and I appreciate you allowing me on the panel today and to have this discussion with you. But yeah, I took that personal, bro. I think the reason that we're here is not by mistake. I don't think black men are upset. I think another brother said it very poignantly when he said that black men are hurt and we are hurt for a good reason. So I think this space exists because it's not so easy to find a good woman. I think I got checked the other day talking to my brother after one of my podcasts, my old co-host Clutch, because I kind of disagree with the PUAs. And Clutch said, you're coming at it from a level of where you're from. All your life you've had this access to women. But what about that guy who's like this IT tech guy who does not know how and I had to and I'm like that a lot. I'm a Leo. I can be very strong on my points. So I had to take a step back and say, okay, I do get it. I shouldn't be so critical of these guys because I'm like, these guys should have to produce results if they're going to be claiming to help men. But he's like, certain men are at certain levels, so they need that. So in all aspects of the manosphere, we're very critical of each other. But I could be critical of this aspect, but my brother just showed me to flip the coin and say, well, it doesn't benefit you, Big D, in this aspect, but it benefits this brother at this level. You know what I'm saying? This may not benefit you over here, but it benefits this brother at this level. So I have to disagree with you when you say that it's easy to find a good woman. That's exactly why this space is growing. That's why the other brother is getting so big. It's because it's not. That's why he created Facebook groups, because men are saying, once I reach a certain level and men listen to you, brother, and apply some of your principles and get successful, then automatically they taste change, and they're finding difficulty finding the women that meet with them and now jives with them. You just described being able to discern between this type of woman and that type of woman. But the reason why a lot of brothers are becoming more popular and these groups are springing up is because when brothers apply the principles that you teach, they're not finding women of color that can match up with them. So groups are being created so that these men that now are applying the things that you teach on your podcast can meet women that match up with those criteria, so they don't end up in a situation with the baby mama and the child support. And then that brings me to my other point. I I currently pay child support. I currently, like I said on the Rogers platform, have children that are not in the home. And I was married to this woman. You know what I'm saying? I married her. I loved her. I was working and everything. These kids was born in a hospital that I worked at. You know what I mean? Everybody was not no out of wedlock or anything like that. But what happens is and you could look at some celebrity examples, because I don't know you personally, but what happens is women change. And that's why I've started my podcast. That's why a lot of brothers are so passionate to teach brothers, to prepare brothers to look for narcissistic and toxic tendencies. But what happens is women change. And when women change and fall out of love, a lot of things transpire. You have terms like the wall, but women go through menopause. Women and just men and humans all together change. And people, and what women have said with the feminism thing is that we've been required to have to remain in love and be in relationship with one person for the rest of our life. And what I didn't know when I got married is that everybody, and that's what I train in my mentorship, make sure she has that in her lineage, because a wife is another word for waif, and some people see that as a slave, and everybody is not built to be there for you for 80 years. And I got into it for 80 years, but she never believed that she would be with me for 80 years. So people change, you know what I mean? And when the marriage ended, she became a different person, and and that love was gone. And so we didn't relate to each other in the same way. I was not prepared for that. She even looked at me as being naive because I was always the leader, but I didn't understand that, number one, she didn't want to be married to one person for 80 years. And then I didn't understand that too, that people can fall out of love and people could change. It's just like the song. I keep hearing the song play in my head. You know what I'm saying? Like, people change, things change. You know what I'm saying? Seasons change. And that's what truly happens in a lot of relationships. I wanted to come up and say, because this fuckboy mentality that men somehow are always choosing wrong, or are always loving wrong. That's not the circumstances. I found myself back in church talking to the bishop, and it was 10, 15 brothers at the table, and we all dealing with these circumstances. I didn't go to the bottle. I didn't go back to the block. I went back to the church because my grandma raised me in the church, and all of us, and the bishop is frustrated because he got all of these men. He's like, why is this flood of men coming in with all these problems? All of y'all got jobs, all of y'all trying to do the right thing, but these women are going a different way. And that gets back to, again, my point about why the manosphere exists in the way it does. I believe it comes out of those men's groups. I didn't start on YouTube. I started in those men groups when I got divorced and I was brokenhearted. I was in the Bible studies. I was in the men groups. I was listening to the bishops, and the same talks that was being had at that table with the Bible is being had on panels. And brothers are rebuilding themselves, and that we are being more selective now. That's where all the bitterness is coming from. So those are my points. I can be long-winded, but I'll let you get in there. But I just want to speak about that child support. It's not always like that. And if it was so easy to pick a good woman, I don't think the manosphere would exist in the way it does now.
And I'm gonna let you know why I said it's easy to pick a woman. Now, knowing that what you know, would you marry your wife over again?
I would marry her again. At that time, I was in love. I think I would definitely go through some type of premarital counseling, and I did not have that, and I was not privy to the knowledge that that was something, growing up in a single parent home. And I did my own, because I grew up, I'm always been this type of guy. But definitely I would marry her again because I was in love with her. But I would have went through some counseling so I could understand and we both could understand what we were getting into. And I don't think she did or I did, being young and naive and in love. I wasn't thinking logically, and I've said that before on the panel. I was thinking with my heart first, and that's been a mistake I've made in my life. So if I had the decision to make over again, I'm not gonna lie and say I wouldn't marry her, but I would say that I would definitely have some counseling before I made that decision, and I would advise that to anybody because I believe marriage is a good thing. I got 3 boys and 15 years, great memory. So no, I wouldn't erase that, but I would do it. I would do it better.
Okay, and the reason I asked that question was this: when in this space, a lot of guys are learning to move a certain way, and without a doubt, you would still want to be with that woman on the strength of that past life that you had with her. Plus, man, the wonderful joy of having those kids that you have. But the
Yes, sir.
biggest thing, the biggest thing is you would know how to move with her. And you will
Yes, sir.
understand before we even get married, these are the things that I need to let you know that are exist. And we have these talks. Me and my wife, we actually didn't have as many talks as we should.
Mm-hmm.
She wanted a family. She wanted to be married because she seen that within her family. She seen that within her mom and dad, which they got divorced when she got 18. Seen that within her grandparents, her aunts and stuff. With me, I grew up in a single family home. I was raised by my grandmother. And, my mother, father passed at a young age, and I was raised by them. But the whole thing was I pretty much trial and error, bumped my head, seen a couple, you know, situations that happen with people, been in a few relationships, but I always questioned a lot of stuff. That's what kept me out of a lot of issues. You know, asking women, what if we have this scenario, what happened? To this day, me and my wife, we always know if we get a divorce, how are we gonna handle this situation? She said ultimately she'll let me have the boys because, you know, it's harder for a woman to start over, and then it's not like the boys are gonna be baggage for her. But the whole point, depending on the money that she's making, even with child support, she knows it's not gonna be enough. And like I initially told her, the whole thing is I'll help you with the bills. I mean, not with the bills. I'll help you with the boys. The bills you're on your own because you decided to leave. Those bills are yours. You accept our responsibility. Now, as far as the boys, anything they need help with, I'm helping you with that. If you feel like it's a burden on you with them, you can ultimately give them to me. But the thing I won't allow is child support because even if you do put me on child support, not saying that I won't pay it, but that'll be it. That's all you get. If the boys need something, you take it out of child support. If they're in sports, they got an extra $500 or something got to pay. You take it out of child support because that's what you agreed upon. The state rendering some type of payment system in which I'm gonna let the state give. I'm gonna give all the money that the state is required, and that's it. Nothing more.
It don't
Now, when
work.
it,
It don't work. You end up with no visitation. You end up with no
hey,
visitation. There's a brother here where brothers be crying, that because it really hurt your heart. Because I feel the same way when you said your boys. I feel the same way. It's a group called Fathers and Family, and what the brother preaches that you do exactly the opposite of what you just said. If she need new tires on her car, you go get those new tires. If they need
nah,
sports, you go get that. And what that will do is that will soften her up and allow you to have more access to your child. If you tell her that only you can get the child support and that's it, then magically on Friday when it's time to pick up your son, you won't be there. And I wouldn't got court orders, I wouldn't got police, and they would not force that woman to make me get my visitation. The judge and the police said that is a civil order, and we do not have to enforce it. But if I was late on Sunday, Amber Alert all up and down California. So that is ideal in the fantasy world. But I tell you, brother, what's happening in reality, the men is that they are using these children as bargaining chips and pawns to get hair, nails, clothes, and everything else, depending on how much you love and need to be in that boy life. And I'll go one thing further. What I learned playing that game, and I played that game for 18 years with my 20-year-old, is that it had a lot to do with ego. And it took me to get the 40-year-olds to realize, and to me have to reaffirm my relationship with God, the God within myself, and spirituality, to understand that what we go through a lot of time, not you, because you may be too young to experience this, but a lot of times what we've been, number one, we've been feminized. Because like you say, my grandpa didn't hang out with me the way black men seek to be in the children's lives today. So we've been feminized to think that we need to be in our sons and our daughters' life 100%. No, that's not how we ever was as a people. When we came before this time, we was never like that. So we've been feminized to think that we have to do that. And then we also, our ego, when you remove God from us, we superseded the God with our own ego, to where I was always in court and crying and spending all this money thinking I had to be in this boy life. When he finally turned 20, he got to be grown, it hit me like a rush of water. Like, I was not in control. I am not his God. It was always him. It wasn't even his mother. And I took power from him with all of this emotion through these 18 years trying to fight to be in his life. And it was on him, the man he was going to be. And that's the talks that we have now. And I feel like I failed him because I got hoodwinked by this American BS that they put black men through. And I feel like I had to get a great job. I did that. I had to spend the money on a lawyer. I did that. I had to get civil orders. I had to get visitation 50. I did all of that. And you know what? My son said, you wasn't there. I needed you there every night. So despite everything I did, it still wasn't enough. And it was me and my ego thinking that I needed to be there, or else he would not become 20. When he still became 20, it shattered my ego. And I thought about all these fathers fighting for all these rights. Like, bro, this is God. It's just like that plant is going to grow and make an orange. That boy is going to grow no matter what. Go ahead.
I was going to say, that's the main reason why I was telling you. In the situation, if me and my wife got a divorce, even to any standard, my wife will not control me. Just as if something happens in my house and I put my foot down, you know, we'll have a big discussion about it. It's not going to be an argument. It's just going to be more or less along the lines of discussion. Because if she takes me from my kids, and like I said, I will pay my child support. I will render no other justice. Besides that, if she tells me I can't see those kids, then so be it. See, when you start letting the woman control how you see, one thing it's an emotional state. I I've come to the realization, if I never see my boys again, even though it's gonna pain me, that's how it has to be. You know, you can't control the state. You can't control that baby mom. The more you put, you're gonna invest so much time and energy trying to, make someone conform to what you want them to do. That's like going into church and you're going into a person of an atheist mind and trying to make him conform into religion. If that person, no matter what you say, is not going to render that he looks at God as his Lord, I mean Jesus as his Lord and Savior, and looks at God as being the ultimate supreme, it won't work. That's the same way guys need to understand in the situation with these baby mamas. You can't control her.
Man, the thing keep dropping off. Yeah, go ahead. I gotta.
Man, you absolutely, I'll tell you, brother, you are really impressive. I tell you, I feel like my life was not a waste when I hear you speak, because you got that knowledge. I spoke. It's a brother named Last Crucible, and he messed with Black Ram 313, and he says similar things. And brother, man, that you have that ability is a great thing, because it took me 18 years in custody battles to get to where you are right now as a young man. So I commend you, and I'm so happy, and I thank God that you have a platform to tell other young brothers that truth. because it's a lot of ego and it's a lot of propaganda involved in that emotional battle that I went through for 18 years, and you waste your time. So with you being a young man and you getting that word out, man, man,
Yeah.
much props to you, bro. Everything you said is exactly right. Last Crucible said that. That's how we got our relationship. If she decides that, there's no contact. There's no
Yeah.
contact. And I can tell you from experience, even though you haven't lived it, I'm going to tell you, you're absolutely right because I've lived it, brother.
Hey,
You are absolutely right. You're a very intelligent, blessed, gifted young man. That's why I even came on the panel. You were absolutely right, man. That's what you got to do. It takes strength.
I'm actually 2 years up under you because I'm 38. But the whole point of it is, it takes a lot of strength because for you to be around your child and all of a sudden just in all contact, you know, that child when they grow up, they're gonna understand this issue because she can't hold them away at 18. I've seen situations, where a lot of kids go through that issue. And ultimately, like I said, you stand as a man, pay your child support so you won't have your debt to society of going to jail. When your child gets 18, you'll be going in due to the fact that you want to stand on, if I can't see my kids, I can't support my kids. That's bullshit as a man. Like I said, I didn't want to cuss, but as a man, you have to state the claim that you've made that child. Even though she wants to be who she is, you make those necessary arrangements and put your child in a better place because of what society tells you to pay. But other than that, like I said, if me and my wife never goes on anything with child support, I'll work with her with that. Because other than that, I'm not gonna, like I said, put myself in a situation to be broke buying her tires for a car, giving her $300-400 to get her hair done just to make her feel happy so I can see a picture of my son growing or even see him for like an hour. You know, depending on the situation, you have those issues where you go to court, make the court system where they bring them to court or have some type of counseling. You let your child know I'm always gonna be your dad, no matter what. When you turn 18, I'm gonna be here, and that's it. Other than that, you can't control anything that woman is doing. The point in which you try to let that woman control your life, she's ultimately going to condemn your life to a living hell on earth because anything that's going on in her life, she's going to make you suffer for that. And shout out Gold Pete, what's going on, man? How you doing?
Hey, what's happening? Peace to the panel. Glad to come up and be in you guys' presence. Uh, I appreciate the conversation. It's definitely a conversation, um, and I don't know this brother that's up here, but I can understand, you know, the things he's expressed because I think a lot of us have been through these things. I know I have, and it's a hard thing when you're wrapped into your child, and you have to make some hard decisions whether you're gonna be at peace or whether you're gonna be in turmoil, especially when you know that your child is in a situation where you can definitely do help that child through things better than the mother can. But the mother is wrapped up in being, um, in ill-willed when it came, because a lot of them are unhappy that uh, they're not with you. They had this child, they're wrapped in their emotions about it. You gave them a child, they had a child with you, and you not with them, and they expected you to uh, conduct yourself in a certain way and be a certain way and be with them for life. And then they, on the other side of it, they become settled. They think they can act how they want to act because they think you are going to be there. And perhaps you, as the man, said that you was going to be there. There's a lot of stuff that goes on, which speaks to the individuality of things. Your situation won't necessarily be the same as she's situation, or she's situation won't necessarily be the same as my situation. But we can take a consensus that uh, when it comes to black men and the children, the odds are stacked against us. I would think we can agree on that. But um, to She's point, uh, I've been on both sides, and I tend to see where She's point falls. Whereas, because if she wants to keep the children and have something against you about it, then she's saying she's an independent woman. She can do everything on her own. She's gonna hold that hatred and whatever else comes along with that against the man. So why put yourself in turmoil? Just pay the child support and go from there. Now, if she hinders visitation, well, that's what she do. That's what she do. Because your peace of mind is far greater than your mind in turmoil, especially when you got to go over there and battle, and then you land in jail, and then you land in a situation where you didn't lost your job. Now your whole life is turned in turmoil, you know, and that is a problem that many black men go through. Now, I'm not saying that some black men don't shouldn't be dads, because they mishandle their responsibilities. But for the most part, especially here in America, we understand that men, especially black men, are more subject to court situations, the woman mishandling or using the children against the man. We're accustomed to that. That's what makes the battle hard. And I'm gonna leave it at that.
Yeah, because like I said, when it comes to that situation, man, you giving her the power over your life essentially by letting her, dictate when you can and when you can't see the child. I mean, that should be a given thing. That's my whole point that I was going back to, dealing with choosing that woman is easy. Don't get caught up in certain issues. You know, you see a woman for what she acts before the marriage. If she does certain little things, you got to understand if you're willing to handle that, by all means deal with her. But if not, you brushing stuff off that generally is gonna have you problems down the line. That's my whole issue about saying it's easy to pick a wife. Because not from a standpoint that I can go out here and just say that's a good woman to deal with. No, not being a person to get caught up in that situation. You know, if I dealt like past relationships, a lot of women I didn't actually take on the point of marrying because of their attitude. When I seen that whole, you ain't my daddy kind of come out their mouth like the child scenarios, I don't deal with women like that because you don't want discipline. You don't want a man, implementing some type of structure in your life because you choose to live your life a certain way. And if your dad couldn't give you that, a man can't give you that. I faded away from those women. I dealt with women, that had, issues with, their weight, had issues with, certain things in their family they just couldn't get over. I ask myself, can I deal with this woman, take on these responsibilities, and it won't be a burden for me? And if the answer was no, I stopped dealing with these women. That's my whole aspect about picking, you know, the woman is easy. Picking a wife is easy. Not the point of, all these women are wife ready, but the point of not getting into that situation where you don't have to deal with a long term mistake.
Well, I would say that I agree. It's easy to get a wife, get a woman, but maintaining one is a whole different conversation. You know,
Yeah.
you can go and marry abroad right now. You know what I'm saying? You could do that, but maintaining the relationship, that's a whole different thing right there. You know,
Mm-hmm.
that's a whole different thing. I want to say peace to AB. Peace, brother.
What's going on?
Peace,
We
brother.
here.
Yes,
Hey
sir.
man.
Hey, what's my protect? What is his name? Protect the.
Oh,
Uh,
my name is Big
perfect
D.
time.
Yeah, Big D. My name of my podcast is Perfect Timing.
Oh, perfect timing. Okay, got you. Got you.
Perfect
Okay,
Timing
got you.
podcast hosted by Big D.
Okay, got you. Perfect timing. Got you. But yeah, so yeah, you get in a relationship and you get a wife. Uh, you have to maintain that relationship. I constantly say, black man, it's about you, brother. It's always been about you. You the center of all things.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have that knowledge of that, uh, either she gonna fall in line or she not, you know.
Yes,
But
you ain't.
you have to have that understanding before you even move forward with anything. You have to know the self. In the 9 laws of self-governance, law number 7, know who you are.
Mm. You ain't lying though. It's whenever you hear a chick say, "You ain't my daddy," and like, yeah, that's a sign. I don't need to be with you.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like go professor with your 9 laws, man. With the first one I implement is that discipline. When it
Mm-hmm.
comes down to a woman that doesn't have discipline, and a lot of guys in this space, I tell them we deal with these women because of their looks, and essentially you don't know what's on the inside because you so worried about the outside. And like I tell people, over time, if you have a wife with nice body, her body is going to diminish,
Oh
and
yes.
the looks are not going to be as perfect as they were when you first met her. But the point of it is, can she carry everything else, her actions? Can she cook? Generally most women can't cook, but
Oh
the
yeah.
point, you in a relationship with her because she looks good, that means you're taking on all the responsibility of cooking, cleaning, because why? She got a fat ass and she pretty, stuff like that. You got guys that deal with women, they take care of them. Man, this girl, man, she perfect. She knows her worth. Like I tell guys, when it comes down to it, men, a lot of guys in this space want that submissive woman and want
Mm-hmm.
that, 8 to 10 woman. Any woman that's either a 9 or 10, as the scale says,
And a submissive
she
woman.
no, she looks a certain way. She dresses a certain way. That's maintenance. If the guy don't even have money to take care of himself, more or less, how you
Yeah.
gonna deal with a woman that needs the requirements of nice hair, nails, and everything else on schedule? I had a partner, man. This guy, he paid his wife stylist $1,200 a month up front because she got
What?
her hair done every week. The maintenance, and she was a great woman, but it just at one point she snapped, the finger snapped, and she became somebody totally different. It was a situation that happened in her life and snapped, and she was a whole nother person. And he did the right thing by divorcing her because he said he wasn't going to deal with everything else, the baggage that she was trying to bring into the relationship. A lot of guys don't understand how to leave women. Roger always said this, and shout out to Roger. Men gotta be to the point where we gotta leave women.
That's true.
First of all, you got to be to the point where you deal with women in a certain light. That's why I say about picking a wife is easy, because if you go out there and pick a woman on account of her looks, and over time, she has this attitude, and you have a baby with her, and then you be like, man, she was a good woman. The breakdown always come when you ask questions. That's the whole point. That whole first 48, that's the difference from getting the case resolved or having a cold case?
I think you just pointed out a good point right there when you said picking. I think that's the difference right there. It's picking and finding. Because I've heard you make these points before, and I agree with you on these points. What you're talking about is being logical and having discernment. And I think that gets back to my point about why the manosphere is existing and growing in the way it is. Because what you're saying is it's not easy to find a wife-worthy woman, but having the abilities to think logically and choose properly is what you're saying that you're giving men the tools to do now. And I would even debate with you on how easy that is, because we're having this discussion on panels, and the panels are growing because we coming up in these single parent homes and everyone don't have the tools and the discernment. I didn't have that when I in my first marriage. So that's why I congratulate you again with sharing this with young brothers so they do have these skill sets if they didn't get them in the home. And the gold professor with his 9 tenements similar on a similar wave. You know what I'm saying? So if you're saying that if you adhere to the principles in the manosphere and you choose like this, then your abilities and your outcomes go up, and the success percentile go up. Then I agree with you. If you don't choose by big butt and by attractiveness, and you ask certain questions in the beginning, as we both agreed on, if you use and employ these therapeutic measures before you go into a marriage, then you have more chances of success. So I agree when you say picking a wife, if you employ these principles, can be more, you would have more success if you do these things. But my disagreement with you was with the finding a wife-worthy woman, but you already clarified that when you said you agree that there's not a lot of wife-worthy women, which is why young brothers need to apply these principles and think logically and not with their phallus when choosing a woman. I just want to interject.
True.
Well, that is definitely, I believe, a correct assessment. Because I refer back to I utilize these 9 laws of self-governance on the regular. I talk about them on the regular. I have laid them out for especially black men, black boys, to take hold of them and implement them in their lives. In the 9 laws of self-governance, law number 6, know your value, know your worth, know your worth. Now, law number 6 and 7, once you learn them, then that can become interchangeable. Once you understand that, because I put law number 6 as know your worth, because many people put the worth of something before they know themselves.
True.
You see? So when you have that understanding of the worth of something, then you apply that to yourself when you know who you are, right? Then once you learn who you are and stand on what your purpose is, then you understand your worth. Okay. So with these nine laws of self-governance, when you take hold of them, then you dealing with the woman you will be able to move better and stand on your purpose, because when she sees your purpose, it's hard to put up a battle or a fight about your purpose. Okay. Ask a woman what her purpose is. A lot of them don't know what their purpose is. So when you have your purpose, they fall into that, because they are seeking to find a purpose and share a purpose and their purpose is to be that help me. But a lot of them don't know to be that. But if you, as the brother, don't know your own purpose, then how can you guide them? Right?
Yeah.
Then you receive all the pushback. Pimp God. Can I say pimp God? She, brother? Can I?
Hey, go ahead. By all means, like I say, we here to teach.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So pimp God pimp god will tell you uh education or information before penetration. Now he says it more explicitly, but I just, I don't use a bunch of profanity and all of that. So I just put it in the terms of information, education before penetration. Okay. Before you run up in the broad, have these conversations and see if she will get on your purpose. If she's not on your purpose, then you can say you can relegate her to whether she's going to be the jump off, whether she's going to, just be somebody that you cool with, you not having any type of activity with, sexual activity with. You are afforded the position to decide which way you're going to go with it. So these 9 laws of self-governance are the structured pathway to help Black men especially deal with their extended external situations as well as their internal situations. You deal with the internal first. That's you. You deal with you first. And then you deal with the external. That's everybody else. Are we going to be 100% with it? No. Can we work towards being 100% with it? Yes. So there you go.
Yeah, agreed. Shoot, nowadays though, man, I gotta see some baby pictures before I even think about laying down with some of these chicks.
It's funny though you say that because as a
I mean,
man,
I hate to go there like that, but the scary part is some of these chicks look worse than the Transformers,
but
It
and
is
it hurt.
Transformers.
AB,
It's hurt,
you
and it
gotta.
hurts. Okay,
I was gonna say, in that case, you gotta actually vet a woman and essentially talk
yeah,
because if you get caught up in that type of style, that means, like I said, you're there for the thrust. You're not looking at nothing but that purpose of doing
yeah.
sexual activities versus trying to see what type of woman you're dealing with. Because the first thing you do is everybody knows. I mean, the features. You look at a woman, man, she got a nice body. She looks good. You go over there, she don't know what 2 plus 2 is.
Oh yeah, that's a yeah,
You in that situation to where if you put yourself in a position to say, well, I'm gonna go ahead and deal with her, and I'm not gonna have a relationship with her. But the whole thing
mm,
is she does this and she that, and you ultimately it happens at times. You have a baby on the first try.
That pump and
You're
dump.
so
that's
That
yeah,
all it takes. That's all it takes is one
yeah.
time for that sperm to hit that wall, and if it penetrates, you got a baby coming.
yeah,
Yeah,
Hey,
I'm against that pump and dump that be floating around the
I am
man.
too.
I don't know who
hey,
created that.
DS. I know a guy said it, but DS1 just dropped that earlier. He was talking about this whole pumping up culture.
That's
You
not
know,
us. That's not
I
us.
know.
It's not.
As men, you structuring a relationship with a woman. First of all, you out there willy nilly just slanging and slanging. Hey, by all means, if that's what you want to do, you get caught up. You can't blame nobody but yourself. You
Yep.
know, you having sex with a purpose, man, to where ultimately, if I deal with this woman, I have a child, so be it. I made a mistake. We have this child. We're gonna work on this, but not to the point where I'm just out here slanging. I got 6 kids, and man, it is what it is. I'm that dude. Nah, because nobody's that dude with 6 kids. Nobody's that dude. If you having 6 kids with 6 different women, come on now. I
I know a
mean,
dude
just
with
like we
10
always talk
kids.
about the women that's reckless with their wound. I mean, you reckless too. Like, and most of these guys, they want to put women in. I hear a lot of guys talking in this space, talking about how women are this and women are that. Oh man, these women, they ain't nothing but this. These women ain't nothing but that. Dude, you move just like them. You set yourself up certain standards just like a woman. And when you get called out on the panels, you look a certain way. I mean, Come on now. We got to deal as men, you know, with some type of purpose. We got to deal as men, you know, move a certain way in which, you know, we're elevating the kingsmanship of men. You know, when I
Mhm.
walk out, like I tell guys, you know, this whole notion of men being bad fathers, that was brought on by media. The
Yeah,
guys never changed from being great men. You know, as right now, you know, they say, well, the CDC says this. Yeah, the CDC is telling you what we've already been doing.
telling you the
I've,
reality.
I've never heard a man say, man, I'm finna change up. I'm finna be a better man than my pops. Well, you know, if your pops was bad, not all men were out here, you know, smashing and dashing, you know, and to the extent if your dad was smashing and dashing and you prove yourself to be better than him, so be it. I commend you on that. But it wasn't a lot of men out here doing this, you know, to the degree, you know, the numbers are out from black demographics. What 51% of the men don't have kids, you know, in these relationships. I mean, not don't have kids and not married. What was it? 36% of the men are married with kids, you know, having families. You looking at less than 15% of the men out here causing this mischief and mayhem with all these women. Typically, I go back to the guy up in Tennessee. The guy got over 30 kids. You know
Ooh,
what? 14 baby mamas. Those women were double back dealing with this man only on the strength. I can just say it. The guy was slanging. He was
how
slanging them
many baby
down.
mamas again?
He had like 14 or 15 baby mamas and over 30. It's like over 30 now. And
Oh
he was
Lord.
kind of complaining about child support because
Uh,
the
uh,
guy had
uh,
a low end job. But you know, this the
how
point
did?
of it
Okay,
is
go ahead.
he's made all these kids. And the women complain ain't no good guys, but the women are messing with this type of young man that, you know, to the extent as well as men do, women do the same. You know this man have kids out here. And for you to have yourself in a relationship with a man with got 5 kids saying that, oh, he's gonna treat me different, you ultimately chose your fate. Same thing with the men. I tell the men, don't move that way. You know, that's why I was saying it's easy to pick a wife. It wasn't from the aspect of going out here and all these women are prime for the picking. You know, they're going to be submissive. They're going to be understanding. They're going to be cooking and cleaning. No, it's to the point you're learning in this space to move different. Don't get caught up with these women that are out here selling you the dream of, oh, I'm gonna be the perfect woman if you make me a wife. And
Mm-mm.
no, you fact check, man. You do your research. You talk to these women. You ask these questions. You know, you put them in scenarios to where you know you pick their brain. Don't sit out here and hold no woman for face value as you know the best woman in the world just because of her looks. You got to vet that woman on her mind, body, and soul, you know, to the whole extent, to the point where, like I said, if a woman generally don't take care of herself or hygienes, and you're invested with this woman because she has a nice, you know, a nice body or a big butt, ultimately you're getting what you want out of the
Yeah.
situation, the sex. But the point of it is, when it comes down to it, you got to take everything involved with it. You know, when she's not being able to handle the bills right and she's going over and messing over on the bills, you got to look at that situation as well and hold yourself accountable, man, because you
Well,
picked this woman.
well, I, I go back to the 9 laws of self-governance. 9 laws of self-governance. Law number 4, read. It is imperative that you read not only books, but you learn to read yourself and read outside of yourself. You know, read, do your best. Will we be 100% accurate in what we read? No, but when you're learning to read, you will get better as you learn to read. You learn to read what your actions are, and you learn to read what that person you dealing with actions are. You learn uh, how to read the language of a person. If a person is acting ill, either subtly or out front or harshly, you should be able to read and make a clean decision of which way you're going to move.
Mm-hmm.
And look how your actions are. Read your own actions. Do you dwell in certain spirits or areas that would bring chaos to you? Because if you do, then you need to make some decisions. Now, if you ain't reading that, then I would suggest you learn to read these things to help you curtail any situations, most situations that you could perhaps avoid. Those 9 laws of self-governance are on point and accurate. If you listen to everybody in the space, listen to a lot of people in the space, the 9 laws of self-governance, the 9 laws of self-governance speaks to a vast majority of what they're talking about. So
Mm-hmm.
I agree. I heard another theme from what you said earlier when she
Hey,
was
Keith, I'm
speaking.
about to hop off. I'll
I'm
catch you later.
almost gonna mess up your name every time I speak,
All
bro.
right.
She just say
I
she,
know,
man. You good?
I know it's she.
We
I
here.
know. But I heard another theme, and this theme been floating around the manosphere lately, and it's exciting to me. And that theme is what you brought up: value yourself. And the other theme around that is self-love. And when you were talking about this, that's what I kept hearing resonate. That the ability to make these moves, the ability to move like you're saying, comes from being able to value yourself and having a high value of yourself and being able to look at yourself in a certain way that you choose, that you're very selective. And because it's one thing to say, do this and do that, but when you don't feel like you have the ability to make those choices, then you don't choose like that. So I like that you give brothers the financial tools because that is part of what we're talking about, putting yourself in a position to be selective and to have discernment and to choose with logic, you know what I mean? And not be forced to accept something, you know what I mean? And back to that pump and dump thing, that again goes back to, I believe it's like subversion propaganda to devalue ourselves in the community, because that doesn't speak to value, not from a pimp God perspective, not from no perspective. Have I ever been taught or had an example to dump anything that had an association with me or my seed, you know what I mean? So I think that has a lot to do with how we value ourselves again, and that mentality being broadcasted is what's prohibiting brothers from making wise decisions. Because when you start doing that, you're not loving yourself as much as you need to be selective in the marketplace. You know what I'm saying? Because if you're able to make a decision, and I can't be around brothers like that, if you're able to make that decision one night, then how I know and trust that you won't make a similar decision in another capacity that might affect me? You know what I'm saying? Because I never moved that way.
okay, so in the 9 laws of self-governance, law number 2, protection. You do your best to protect yourself on all 4 realms or 4 regions of intelligence. The 4 regions of intelligence are the physical, the mental, the spiritual, and the emotional. Emotional being the highest level of region of intelligence. Okay. So when you protect yourself to the best of your ability, okay, and you are disciplined, law number 1 in the 9 laws of self-governance, law number 1 is discipline. When you are disciplined with protecting yourself and you apply selfishness to protecting yourself, law number 3 is applied selfishness. Okay, it doesn't mean be ornery with your selfishness. No, that means you're selfish with you giving yourself to the chaos. You're not willing to. You're being selfish with these things. Okay, so when you apply discipline and protecting what you value in yourself, which you apply selfishness to, and you read what you are about and what your purpose is, you're able to discern what your purpose is. And you add power, which is number 5 in the 9 laws of self-governance. Number 5, you exercise your discipline in applying protection to the selfishness of yourself and reading every aspect of you. You exercise these and you apply, you become more valued, you become more, you understand your worth, which is number 6. You start learning your worth. And when you learn your worth, then you have a better grasp on who you are, which is law number 7. Law number 8, once you have 1 through 7 together, law number 8, now it's time to build something. Okay? You build on your positivity, destroy all that was with which was negative, and that tends to continue to come at you in a negative presence. And then law number 9, you plant them seeds and be patient. You plant those seeds and be patient. And those seeds may not sprout until far after you and I and everybody else are gone. But someone will come back and say, oh, I found these seeds. They're sprouting leaves now. The universe will find a way to water them seeds. We just have to be patient with what the seeds we lay. So,
Amen. Amen, brother. Amen.
so I constantly speak on the 9 laws of self-governance.
Key. Give me some keys right there. I like that, bro. I'm gonna check you out. Them keys. Some of them things I'm gonna say about all of them, like you say, have floated through my mouth once upon a time. Pause on my podcast before, man. I had a TV show called Male Progressive TV, so a lot of that stuff sounds real familiar, man. So I love it, man. I love these keys getting out here, man. Yeah, man. And again, this is what the manosphere is bubbling on right now. It's a reason why these messages is getting out here like this, man. It's a need for it, man. It's a need for it. And I love being a part of it, man. Thank you, bro.
Yeah, and see,
Go ahead.
go
Go
ahead,
ahead,
go,
Sheik.
go ahead. Well, I was just gonna say, the biggest thing aspect, I try to get guys coming to the space, the ones that actually want to get married, because that's why I said I've heard a lot of guys in this space have issue with women, and I understand we have, most, well, I say most of the men have a bad taste in their mouth with dealing with the women that they dealt with over time, and it just didn't sit right with them, the behavior of the women. And you got to understand, you got to get back on that horse. Don't, I mean, unless you just essentially don't want a family, don't want no structure, by all means, stay single and progress your life. Gain more knowledge. That's my biggest thing. If you're gonna get to the situation where you don't do that, gain more knowledge and pass it on to the younger generation, those young men, to tell them, if I went down this road, it didn't pave well for me, but I'm not going to discredit you and your advances on, having a family. And that's my key thing. I tell a lot of guys, if you fell short of the glory, don't take that from that young man. Give him the keys in order to succeed and be successful. You know, in relationship, there's a lot of men that are hurt right now because they haven't, found that right person, or either chose that path where they can gain their greatness. Even with the younger men coming up wanting to be MGTOW and not wanting to deal with women in general, I'm like, no, don't do that. Don't go off of the issue of what another man says on how you should live your life. There was a young man on Roger's panel that essentially had a great woman. He was going to actually leave his woman due to the fact that he heard a lot of men saying that these women are not going to never change. They're going to always be the same. I told him no.
You talking
And
about JoJo?
yeah, and when guys were giving him advice, and I told him, I said, look, man, when it come down to it, if you're not trying to get married, don't get this man advice. I checked the one guy on him and I told him, you don't want a marriage. You don't want kids, but you're giving a man advice that wants a marriage and want kids. Don't do that. Don't crush his dreams because your dreams were shot. Give him a fighting chance. You're like giving him a cancer sentence without even be, diagnosing him to have cancer, without even doing the diagnosis of him, checking him out first. You just automatically look at him. Yeah, you got cancer. Just live your life. Don't even worry about this over here. You're gonna die. No, don't do that. I always get on the older men that do that to these younger guys, because we always have this issue where the younger guys are coming in saying how they don't trust the older gentlemen because of this. You gave me false information. You gave me no hope, and I found out it was a better way. All these years I've been trying to fight a good fight, and all of it went down on the premise of what some old guy told him. And that's why I always tell these young guys, deal with a lot of older gentlemen that are going to teach you something. It can't If you're dealing with at least 10 gentlemen, older gentlemen, out of those 10, you have 2 to 3 guys that'll give you great information. They're all talking on the same level because they want to see you succeed. By all means, go for that. You can't have 10 old men give you the same advice. And if they are, most likely they're telling you truth. A lot of guys get, issues with the older generation. That's how I learned. I didn't have that pop growing up in my house teach me all this. My granddad, I dealt with him on occasions, but it was more or less I was moving in a way I seen. And, I kind of picked up on these older gentlemen, even with my coaches in sports, my teachers, that, these guys were excellent men that, kind of showed us, this is the way men talk. This is the way men move. Even when he talked with the young ladies in his class, have respect for yourself. Don't let no man, he gave the women, he gave the girls and the men game. He told us, don't move this way because this is the situation that you're going to ultimately put your life in. And if you want that path for yourself, by all means, go for it. But you got to go at your own risk.
Well, that's MGTOW. What they told them that I agree with MGTOW and Red Pill principles. So I believe MGTOW and Red Pill are styles of Kung Fu that may need to be applied within your life at different times. I also believe MGTOW and Red Pill are taken from African principles when you talk about walkabout and how Mormons go on 2 years where they go out on the by themselves and they go on this journey to become men. I think it's valuable. So number one, I don't know what happened with these terms in the Black manosphere that somehow when they got, like, we wanted to change the names. There's the Black Pill. There's all that. And I don't want to be insult anyone on your panel, but it's like there's a clear definition for these terms that have been around for a long time. Last time I was on the panel, I actually went to MGTOW.com. You can read the definition. There's a definition for Red Pill. And somehow they get misapplied in the Black manosphere. They got homophobic connotations. And that's not what it is. It's simply a Kung Fu that a lot of men may need to go through, having a time period, which is an African principle of being alone, where you need to be alone to take some growth. That's all it's about. And how other people manipulate it, it's almost like Baptists and gospel preachers, how it's manipulated to get money and get views and get clicks. But there's actually a definition, and it's a healthy thing for a man to be alone, especially a young man who may be going through stress. We talked about peace on the last panel, but yeah, these are principles that that other communities are applying and are having success. They have nothing to do with not being married. They have nothing to do with men not loving women. It's a simple process of taking time for yourself to grow. If you need, like, when you hear these 9 principles, it may be impossible to implement them within a toxic relationship. These styles of Kung Fu exist so men can go and have a place to learn, and like you say, like, read not only books but yourself. These introspective things, that's what these Kung Fu styles are meant for, so that you become abreast of these 9 tenements and you become well versed at how to use them in your life. A lot of times it's hard to do that when you're within the constraints of a family or relationship. So the suggestion is for you to go out on a walkabout to get yourself right, especially if you're in this F-boy category. If you're not doing right by your family and your child and you need to get right, a lot of times what you need to do is be alone to apply and learn these principles. You know what I mean? And that's what these things are for, Kung Fu. I don't know why it got misconstrued within our community and it's been subverted for some reason, but the definitions are clear and there's actually good practice. I believe that there's good manifestations that can come from applying these principles at certain times in your life. And if a brother had a beautiful woman that he wanted to be with, I would never say be MGTOW, because I believe in traditional marriage, because that's the fundamental building blocks on the community. I believe in that, strengthening our community. If we don't have these traditional marriages and traditional families, then that's the building blocks of a strong community. So I agree with you that way. So that's not, I disagree when people try to employ MGTOW in the things. I think that's their own Baptist preacher gospel, trying to get clicks and stuff, like trying to subvert the actual definition. I believe that we should use the actual terms as they're defined. And if you disagree with them, that's cool. We could debate that. But I just think that the principles of them can be applied for benefit for men, especially the people growing up in single parent homes, man.
Well, I would say, and I say things humbly, terms tend to change continuously because many people are using the terms to apply them to their own individual lives, right? So this speaks to what development they've experienced in regards to the 4 regions of intelligence: your physical, your mental, your spiritual, and your emotional self. Okay. So if those regions aren't developed or in continuous development, then you will see terms constantly changing and being applied to an underdeveloped region of intelligence, either 1, 2, or all 4 of them. So this is what you see as we move through these spaces. So there are perspectives being implemented to help bring it back to a point where we can comprehend what is being said and how to apply it. And people will move in their moments. We're in these spaces, yes, but outside of these spaces, we don't know their lives, right? We don't know what they're doing, what decisions they're making. All we can do is provide a pathway to help them make better decisions and help develop their 4 regions of intelligence. Okay. So, when we hear select, non-select, and all that, for me personally, I don't get into select, non-select. Why? Because everybody, if we're talking about the man-woman dynamic, every woman is not going to pick that man who when that man considers himself to be select, right? That one woman may say, "Oh, he's a handsome guy." The next woman say, "Oh, he's terrible." So that he's he's non-select to her. So what I'm saying is, as people move in their lives, they're gonna have to strive to develop the 9 laws of self-governance and develop their 4 regions of intelligence. And this is how they will better move, and it will help them make better decisions. Will they make 100% correct decisions? No, none of us will. But we can strive for 100%. Some may only make it to 50, 60. But the point is, the information is out here, and they can work towards it. It's a matter of decision. What the decisions we make dictate the life we lead. So if you're making ill decisions, then you're going to lead an ill life. If you're making better decisions in the way you move, then you perhaps will live a better life.
I gotta be careful how I respond to that. Like, number one, I'm gonna say I agree with everything you said. Well, I just want to say, man, I hope everyone applies the principles that you just espoused. That's what I'm gonna say.
I appreciate that, brother. And it ain't only about me. You know, I've said that many times. I say that on regular. It's not only about me. You know, I'm 52, right? Well, I will be 52 in a few weeks. But
No,
you know,
I didn't want to put anyone down who may be in the audience. I was just thinking that what you said is so eloquent that I giggled to myself because I don't know how many people will be able to understand what you just articulated so well.
well, once again, you know, now see, I come from a 5% energy as well. Okay. The 9 laws of self-governance are established in a mathematical sense. Either your math is correct or your math is incorrect.
Your
There's
whole
no middle.
conversation,
There's no middle.
added up. The whole conversation added up and culminated to what you just exactly my point. Yes. Yeah.
Yes, sir. There's no middle in math. Either your math is correct or your math is incorrect. And the 9 laws of self-governance are built on mathematical principles uh, garnered from the mathematics, the supreme mathematics. Number 1 is knowledge. Number 1 in the 9 laws of self-governance is discipline. You know, for you to gain knowledge, you have to have discipline in working towards gaining knowledge, right? Number 2 is wisdom. You know, you apply wisdom from the knowledge you gained. Number 2 is protection. It is wise to protect yourself. Is it not? You know, it is wise to. Number 3 is understanding. Well, in the 9 laws of self-governance, number 3 is applied selfishness. See, when you have an understanding of yourself, of the knowledge of self, then you will be selfish with who you give yourself to, because everybody is not going to handle what you know, how you carry yourself, your swag. They're not going to be able to handle that. Some of them will rail against you because they lack understanding of that. Number 4 in the supreme mathematics is culture of freedom. Now, in the 9 laws of self-governance, number 4 is read. Now, when you read your culture, you understand and gain knowledge of your culture itself, then you are rendering yourself free of all the footholds. Okay. Number 5 in the supreme mathematics is power or refinement, right? In the 9 laws of self-governance, number 5 is exercise. You know, you need power to exercise, be it physically, mentally, spiritually, and or emotionally, which is the highest form of self. Number 6, know your value, know your worth. Know your worth in the 9 laws of self-governance. In the supreme mathematics, number 6 is equality. See, when you understand your worth, you bring equality to the self, all being born to number 7. In the supreme mathematics, God. You know who you are in the 9 laws of self-governance. Know who you are. In the supreme mathematics, number 7 is God. This is mathematics. Either your math is correct or it's not correct. Number 8 in the supreme mathematics, build or destroy. In the 9 laws of self-governance, build something. Because that's what God does. He builds. He builds something for us to live by. A principle. Okay? You build a principle. Your light is the greatest thing you have. And when you build your light and formulate it into a full, all-out principle to stand on, your purpose, well, then you've built something for nations. And number 9, in the supreme mathematics is born. You born more, you born light into a new existence, into the self, in which in the 9 laws of self-governance, number 9 is plant these seeds and be patient. With anything being born, you have to be patient. So there you go.
Thank you, bro.
Hey, Keys, man. That's why I told you, man. Like, that's why I be over there moving with you, go, Professor, on your channel, And DS1, the same thing with him, man. Like I said, he broke that earlier, talking about the guys in the space and the way they move and that whole pumping them culture stuff. I mean, be that as it may, dealing with the guys who, use those terms a lot and, deal with that. Hey, I mean, that's the way a lot of guys, look at the situation with women, and you got to hold yourself accountable for that, man. Moving around in this space, I've noticed with a lot of guys, they try to pull a herd culture, so they get everybody involved with the same path, and it's effective in numbers, but when you're dealing with guys who stand on principles and don't follow the herd, when everybody's going left, they go right, because they understand factors are involved, situations are, implemented in order to, hey, you either with us or against us. I'm my own man. I stand on my own too, and I always go back to this whole thing about this space. When I hear guys going back and forth arguing with each other and the disrespect comes up, it's generally because you're online. I mean, I'm not trying to promote no fighting or beef or anything to, get face to face, but it's generally online because the disrespect is elevated because you're not in my face. But when men sit there and have a time to dialogue and understand these things, it's hard for you to, check someone when you're in their face unless you're preparing, to either go down, swinging or whatever. But the point of it is, that's why I tell guys, I've always said this, that I'm on here for the knowledge. I'm on here to kind of, give guys understanding, whether it be 2 people watching, whether it be 20, whether it be 1,000, so be it. I'm giving this stuff to the next generation. Like I told guys, I preach on Alonzo Hall with his life insurance, man. I tell people to subscribe to him and look at his videos because of the knowledge that he's giving brothers about life insurance, the past and generational wealth. If you're not, have the situation to put yourself in a situation to buy a house, you can at least have life insurance to pass on to the next generation. Not only are you passing this money on to the next generation, you can also use the money while you're alive if you have whole life to, put your kids in a better situation, man. Because be that as it may, a lot of these kids, you need money right now, and to go ahead and invest when they're young, when they grow up, they can reap the benefits of all this stuff. I'm in a situation to where within the next 5 to 10 years, I'm gonna start taking out loans on my whole life. I might want a new car. There's money there. I don't have to wait till I retire to get, a car paid off straight cash because of my retirement, my social security. That's what I'm telling guys. Move a little different. I always preach about driving trucks. If you're gonna go get a trade, by all means go get a trade. If you're gonna go to college, by all means go to college. But I'm giving these guys some tools to understand. Move a little different. Structure your life. Go to the channels that are gonna help you move on the path of excellence, man. Have some understanding of yourself, know what you want to do, have the path that you want to live.
Well, I would say, there's a lot that we speak about in these spaces, and we go through cycles. There are cycles. Certain subjects are talked about. Some subjects last longer and it until it becomes sounding like it's redundant. But each cycle, carries a certain message said in a certain way, and certain people will bring it to it and say it in a more firm kind of manner. Um, there's a lot of information in this space, and um, we run into all kinds of mindsets in these spaces, and everybody's trying to get in on it. But at the end of the day, you will find who is going to stand up and who's not. Who are internet warriors and who are not. I tell people all the time, I'm not an internet warrior. I'm not one who's going to, go to talking all crazy, all out of pocket, uh, cussing people out and doing rape, hollering, and that's not my MO. I'm going to address the issue and address it humbly and address it in a way that we can have a conversation about it. I'm not going to move in that manner. And so I strive to show people that they can move that way too. Now, I'm not saying not defend yourself. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying you can be um, you can be uh, correct politically. you know, you can. It's possible to do that. But but that's me. That is me. So I strive not to put it on an individual type deal, even though it turns out to be an individual type deal, because you will hear also in the spaces that there is no brotherhood, there is no collective or anything like that. You will hear that also, right? And to a degree, that may hold true because being that we're so programmed to live a certain way, be a certain way, act a certain way, uh, express things a certain way, it tends to lean towards that idea that there isn't. But Black men, especially, have always strived to build a community. Now, will that community have infighting? Sure, it will. But we've always done this.
I agree. I didn't want to insult anybody bringing up that topic. I just I'm new to the manosphere and YouTube, so I was just saying my opinion on that term. I don't really like that term. I think it devalues us. So I agree with you, man.
Yeah, there's as you dwell in these spaces more, look, I wasn't looking for the manosphere. I just landed in it. I landed in it.
Right,
So
right.
it wasn't something, when I came into the space, I happened to be listening to uh, Crimson Cure, Kendra D. And at that time, I was experiencing something with my daughter because she was pregnant, and it was a conversation of because she has my grandson now, right? So it was a conversation because I understood how she was moving, and you know I I hey, Black men love the kids. I'm telling you that people will say Black men don't do this, don't like this, but Black men do love the kids. That is, we if we didn't, we wouldn't go through all the madness to maintain some type of relationship with our kids. We wouldn't go through all the court. We wouldn't go through all the fights, the arguments, we wouldn't go through going to jail, and we wouldn't do it. Okay. We wouldn't break ourselves over these children if we didn't care about our children. So, we experience these things, and that's the only way I fell into the space, because I was, experiencing something, and then I was listening to her. Then I came onto her panel and we started talking, and we was building, and I just been in the space ever since. you know, so I wasn't necessarily looking. It just the universe will bring you to places. Okay, the universe is the ultimate prescriber of path. Now you can speak word, and that's why on my broadcast I always give a morning prayer before I then render my broadcast, before I start my broadcast. I give morning prayer, and I always say it ain't nothing wrong with a little prayer. Now, what I mean by that, because there are people who don't believe in God, and, they can move. But what I would say is, you can always speak word into the universe. Okay. And when you understand law number 7, when you know who you are, then you know that your words can move things. Okay. But you have to speak it. So that's my deal.
Yeah, man, I'm about to go ahead and cut this screen, man, because we going on about 2 hours, and yeah, but like I said, I'm always going to be doing shows based on the family structure, because like I said, I'm married, and I see in this space a lot of guys tend to deal with issues from women, and I get that, you've been hurt, but the point of moving past it, if you want kids and this whole community of guys going SYSB, the whole thing is to save yourself, not to go get a woman. That's the whole thing. If guys, it says it right there within the whole SYSB movement. I hope I got uh, the letters right, but to save yourself. When it comes down to it, a lot of guys take it upon themselves to say, "Well, I'm gonna go SYSB and go overseas and get a woman." Like I say, the average man who's on YouTube either has the money or don't have the money, don't have a passport. And more or less, for you to go overseas and find a woman, bring her back to the same community of women that you're trying to get her, that you're trying to leave, ultimately, you're going to have that same ripple effect. You're going to put her right back in the same community in which the women you don't want to generally mess with. Eddie Murphy made it perfectly clear. I won't have Eddie. You could take a woman with a bone in the nose, come to the country. That's the structure, man. So you gotta
Hey,
understand. Go ahead.
she can I be SYSBM? Can I be that?
Hey, by all means.
Can I be MGTOW at the same time?
Hey, hey, my thing is this. I tell all men, I can't choose your path. I can't, ultimately show your way. So if you like it, I love it. If you want to go SYSB MGTOW, because I heard a guy say that on the panel, and Roger said, "How you MGTOW with a girlfriend?" That's not right. You could be MGTOW with a girl on the side, but you can't be MGTOW with a girlfriend. I got a girlfriend, but I'm MGTOW.
Yeah,
I heard.
I'm just messing, man. I don't know nothing about all that.
Yeah, me neither. I mean, I'm just saying. At the end of the day, as the men in this space, we got to start promoting, the truth. We got to start promoting understanding to the younger generation of men that come on here to get some knowledge of what's really out here and knowing how to move. And like I said, me being married and Lauro, he speaks to this all the time. He said, "What do you guys talk about over there? What do you guys do?" I'm my general admission to coming in this space, like I said, I was on Erica Williams' channel. She talks about money and finance. She talked about the situation with BGS, always talking about the economy. That's what made me want to go over to BGS, talking about Angry Man and O'Shea and all these other guys within this space. But when I got over here, I heard a lot of pain and hurt. Even my wife, she listens sometime with me. She gets irritated with a lot of guys the way they talk, but she understands that they've been in situations the way they've been hurt. But Point of it, she's not yelling, "Oh, tell him to get over it." No, she says you got to have time for yourself. If these men are in this situation, they gotta, distance themselves from the women that are causing them the problems and the issues. And I tell her it's hard because most guys have been in a type of, been going through this path for so long, they just don't know how to say, I'm not dealing with women. And the ones that say, I'm not dealing with women in general, they don't know how to get back on the horse. That's the old term. Once you get knocked off the horse, get back up and try it again. It's hard for a lot of guys to get back up and try it again because of the situation they was in that put them ultimately off the horse. And I'm just trying to elevate these guys to understand it's not a death sentence once you, I guess, take the red pill. The whole thing is to, have that knowledge of self and know how to move. That's why I was saying it's so easy to pick a wife because you're learning how to move when dealing with the women, not to settle for a woman and give her all your money and not to, being taken advantage because a lot of guys get taken advantage of in certain situations because they don't have an understanding that, I'm marrying this woman under certain premises and we're dealing within this certain path a certain way. And, that's my biggest thing to where if you're going to get married, know what you're getting yourself into. Kind of vet the woman a little more thoroughly and stop dealing with the. I'm not saying that guys should, go down scale, but the point of it is, looks is a plus. But if you're looking for all looks and no mind, no structure, no future. Because if you're not asking a woman about getting married, if you're not talking to a woman about her family structure or what does she even want, the general statement of asking a woman what do she really want out of life can almost say a whole lot. If she say I just want to be fabulous and I want to live this, you know what you're dealing with. Like I tell guys a lot of times you have to put the woman in the category in which she fits. You can't force it. The peg hole and the circle, the circle and the square. A lot of guys do that in the scenario. Man, she's fine, but she doesn't act like this or she doesn't have this. Ultimately, that's a decision you got to make, as well as the women. I speak to women as well because there's a lot of good women out here that just been ran through by a guy that generally just wants to have sex, and she has to come to grips to, well, I got taken advantage of because of the way I move. I put myself in a situation to where guys generally go after me because the way I dress. you know my daughter, when she was younger, I told my wife, don't let her get colored hair. And I was adamant about it. I kept pushing it. I think it was, like I said, 2 months or so before her birthday, she got brunette or something. It wasn't nothing loud, no blonde or anything. It was subtle. But the whole point of her, kind of going against me, I told my wife, just I ought to cut her hair off. And she looked at me, everybody was looking crazy. But the point of it was just I was standing my ground and being strong about it, that her having colored hair puts her in a category or puts her in a state of mind in which people are going to judge her a certain way. I told my son that he wanted some uh, tips or some on his dreads or whatever, or his plaits. And I told him, you could do all that when you turn 18. But when you're younger, I'm not walking around with a clown. If you want blue hair tips or whatever these younger kids are doing, blonde streaks or whatever in your head, you do that when you turn 18 because you're an adult. You can carry yourself a certain way. I just don't have to be around you. And you being an adult anyway, you're going to be making decisions that impact your life. And ultimately, if I'm showing you this structure as a young man, when you get older, you probably won't do it. And that's what happened to him. When he turned, this guy's 20 now. He still hasn't blinded tips or anything because of the discipline I implemented him as a young kid. He liked that whole notion, but he says it looks good, but it's to this day he still never did it. But yeah, I'm about to get ready to close out. And Closing remarks, guys.
All right. I want to say thank you for blessing me to be on your panel. Uh, I've dubbed myself as your official co-host. Ain't that what you told me, brother?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You know,
Yeah,
me and you move around on the. I'm officially your co-host on your panel as well.
yeah,
We bring a
yeah,
little laughter and joy to the community.
yeah. I'm officially your co-host on the Sheet We Hear show broadcast. Support, subscribe to Sheet We Hear, of course, without question. I'm Gold Professor. And I'm thankful for uh, the brother that was on the panel with us. Uh, I forgot your name again. Perfect timing. Yeah,
Yep,
perfect timing.
perfect timing podcast.
Yeah, I'm thankful for you being up here as well, brother. You know, uh, I struggle with people who say we can't talk with each other. You know what I mean? We've been here for the past 2 hours having a conversation. We get pushed back on certain things. We come to consensus of on certain things. I mean, but we didn't jump all in on each other. We ain't cussing. We ain't hooping and hollering and flipping out. I mean, it's I welcome this kind of conversation. You know, so once again, I'm thankful for you, Sheet, for blessing me to be up here with you and uh, perfect timing, and I'm thankful. I just want to be clear on that. I'm thankful, and I put money in the plate, brother. I put money
Yeah.
in the plate.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
I just want to say thank you, brother. Thank you, She, for having me on the panel. And again, great discussion. Nice meeting you, Go Professor. I'm gonna check you out. I like the way you build, man. Them 9 tenements. I think a lot of us can learn and grow from them, including myself. So I'm gonna definitely apply those in my life and on my podcast. Y'all check me out, man. I've been doing a lot of hard work over there on my podcast, man. I've been going in on a lot of recent events. I've been going in on this vaccine lately, so on the
Yeah,
yeah. So check me out. I got a lot of good information on the vaccine, man.
I will sub to you, brother. I will sub to you as soon as we get off. I will sub to you. Your channel is perfect timing.
Yeah, that's the channel. I think it come up under Perfect Timing Podcast, hosted by Big D. So yeah,
Okay, okay, yeah, I will sub to you, brother. Yes, sir.
thank thank you, She.
All right. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Perfect. Oh
Yes, sir.
man. Okay. There we go. I'm actually gonna put his. Well, what happened? YouTube off. Sorry. Quit. Something happened. Yeah, but I'm gonna go ahead and end this stream. You have his name up there. I was trying to actually share his link, but something happened with my YouTube and it just kicked me all the way off. But like I say, within the community, man, we gotta build with each other, And I'm actually gonna start a list, Gold Professor, of guys.
Hey, I
I
did it
ain't
though.
gonna take. I know. I
I
heard the
did
list.
it though.
I heard you reading from the list the other day, and I was laughing because I was like, it sounds like he's reading because he kind of going down the line and oh yeah, hold on, let me look at it. Oh yeah, shout out to. I was cracking on you, man. But yeah,
Yeah,
when
I
it come
know.
down to it, man, I'm gonna push a
I know you be trolling me, man. I know you be trolling
guy.
me.
Hey
It's
man,
okay. I
we,
be
we
trolling you too. So
hey we got to check each other, man. We gotta look out for each other, man. We gotta look out for each
yes, sir.
other.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, yeah, man. This has been a great deal, man. And like I said, I'm gonna push the guys in their channel, man. Shout out to you, brothers, man. Y'all doing good. And D, man, I'm gonna start coming more. Checking out your info, man, and giving the shouts and shout out to Life is so dang good. For dropping for the cash app and you as well, Gold Professor. And like I said, we moving in this space, man. Giving the knowledge, helping these younger gentlemen out and these younger females because I'm not just going to sit here and build the men up and leave the women to the wayside. Because if the men are gonna, have relations with these women, they got to know how to move as well. You know, we got to be elevated to deal with the mind frame of both men and women. The structure or the foundation is real. We got to build together. And with that being said, once again, fellas, you know, we gone, man. We
Hey,
gone.
she. Hey, she.
Peace.
Yeah.
I want to also say thank you to Life is So Dang Good, Miss Tamara Carson, for the cash out. So I wanted to make sure I said that too. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm actually. Yep. Oh yeah, I gotta go to YouTube. The mod. Okay. I'm about to drop some mods down, man. I'm just making sure. And perfect time. All right, go ahead and share your channel now before we go ahead and cut out in the chat. Okay, there you go, man. And like I said, once again, fellas, we gone.
Thank you, bro. Peace.